I go by Repzilla on YouTube.
So Repzilla has taken some much needed time off from all the criticism that he's received to come back to tell us how we are misrepresenting him and how he needs to clarify and speak on the matter. Now if you've actually watched the video, then you must have one looming question all around you. And that is, Repzilla, what is the fucking point here? So in his critically acclaimed, recently released video, Repzilla decides to take us along the path of allegations past. However, I am far more invested in the journey to the fucking point. Yes, it is very difficult to find out what is the point of this video, simply because, as he's arguing with people in the comment section and on Twitter, it seems like he's not trying to apologize, and he's also not trying to defend himself against all the allegations people have levied against him. Because there are many allegations that he has responded to way before, prior, made videos about it, even tweeted about, that he rehashes for no clear reason, and there are far more serious and pressing issues that he's choosing not to address. He also says sorry exactly 0 times in the entire video, so it's not an apology video. So, what is the point? What is Repzilla opening on? What is this? What is it? So in this video, I'm not going to go over every single part of this fucking video because holy shit, it's a daunting task. And like I said, so many things have been covered before. But in this video, I'm not going to talk about the stalker and Marsii because I don't have the full context here, and Marsii himself is a creator on this platform and I'm sure that he would like to present himself. So instead, I'm going to be addressing this video from this point onwards in the shortest form possible. What I'm going to be caring about is not bringing in every single type of receipt from the outside to disprove every single thing that Repzilla presents, but instead I want to look at what he himself is presenting and questioning the validity of what he's saying. Did he actually bring receipts and make cases against himself? Is that what's happening here? Because I want to know what the point is, and I want to see how we get to this point. Before we continue on with this video, please remember not to send anybody mentioned in this video any hate or harassment or bullying. I don't condone that and I don't support it. And also, that wouldn't be very Rep Squad Best Squad of you, you know? So let me clarify what I mean by that. I am trying to only look at the video content that Repzilla himself is presenting with the receipts that he himself is presenting, because I want to understand where our turtle loving friend is coming from. Now, one thing that I have noticed across the board is that Repzilla likes to muddy the water, which is the exact opposite of what you want when you want to present your case. You want to say, this is the problem, here is the solution, that is it, here's the proof. Okay, so that's not what happens. He over-contextualizes it, which makes me believe that one of two things is possible here, and I'm going to give him just the biggest benefit of the doubt. But in worst case scenario, when somebody tries to muddy the water by bringing in extra receipts and thickening up the argument, it's because they are wrong and they're trying to create some kind of a distraction and whataboutism so that you avoid what the actual point is. Alternatively, and this is the best case scenario, could be that maybe Repzilla still doesn't understand the criticism that he got, because what he's defending is actually not what he's being criticized for. So yeah, so I am going to try and absolutely, in the dumbest, plainest form possible, present the counter arguments and the reason why he got criticism to begin with, just simply based on what we see in this video, nothing extra, nothing too wild, and then hopefully there's no more confusion about what the problem at hand is. In this section, it seems like the point is that Repzilla wants to clarify his standing with Leafy Greens and how he in fact is the victim of targeted harassment and doxing threats imposed by Leafy Greens. And in order to do this, for some reason, we have to expend a significant amount of time on his relationship with the Rewired Soul.
I still don't know the Rewired Soul, but I have no issues with the guy. Marsii and others were saying I was close to the Rewired Soul in some kind of weird way to say I turned on my friends. The reason I wanted to clarify my relationship with the Rewired Soul is to show you that I had no bias when I went to interview Leafy Greens.
The counter argument here is that a lot of people contextualize the reasons why he went against leafy greens was because he was a friend of the Rewired Soul and he wanted to stand up for his friend. Now, he might as well be best friends with Rewired Soul or not know him from a box of fucking bricks. It doesn't matter. Did he wrong leafy greens or not? So he spends a lot of time muddying the water, trying to convince us that the Rewired Soul is relevant to the story. So after minutes and minutes of rambling about how he's so much better than the Rewired Soul and they could never be friends, he explains to us that the interview that he had with Leafy Greens was exactly the same as the interview that he had with the Rewired Soul, in the sense that he was mediating between the two.
I plan to pull this for video, just say on record, off record for things if that makes sense, just like I did with the Rewired Soul. Between the Rewired Soul and Leafy Greens, and as you can see, I'm really trying to understand the situation between the two and almost like I'm mediating the situation.
Now, please, let's just watch this colossal fuck up. As we can see in the DMs here, he's busy self-reporting because literally what had happened here prior to her becoming quote-unquote angry is that she said, please do not speak on my mental health, which was, again, her actual problem with the Rewired Soul, right? She didn't want somebody to speak about her mental health. And he interpreted that for some reason, as it's fucking obvious on the screen right now, he interpreted it as her saying do not speak about me after a whole ass interview where she said yes, make the video. So he thought she's saying do not talk about my mental health equates to do not talk about me, which doesn't make any sense to me. It's very clear on what I can see here that literally she's saying the specific category of things you should not speak on. So then he decided to leak the DMs. The result was he ended up leaking off-record information that she, according to her, would put her in physical harm.
She became angrier, told me to show all the DMs, told me if I didn't, she would screenshot them and do it herself. I didn't understand this as I had told her I wasn't going to put her in the video, but she started releasing our DMs out of context. People were getting really mad at me. I started feeling a lot of pressure, and then she told me again to show it all. So I quickly screen recorded them and released them on Twitter as she asked. I made a mistake and released something that I gave my word would be off record.
The problem here is, Repzilla, I hope you're listening, and anybody who doesn't understand the exact conflict here. She is upset because you possibly endangered her life. She might be wrong, she might be exaggerating, but that is the root of her problem. You admit that you did the action that makes her angry. Then what you say is that you apologized on multiple occasions and you cannot understand for the life of you why she just simply cannot let it go.
April 3, 2019. I reached out on Instagram in an attempt to get some sort of verification of her receiving at least one of my apologies. This resulted in her accusing me of talking about her behind the scenes, and she emailed me a bag of, well, you can see.
Well, people are not entitled to forgiveness, and I'm not saying that it's fair, I'm not saying it's nice, I'm saying that she just like straight up didn't forgive you yet, and there's no certain amount of apologies or certain amount of emphasis on apologizing that you can make that would make this go away. I'm sorry, Rep, like you definitely did fuck up, and the fact that you just gloss over it and pretend like she got angry for no apparent reason and how you apologizing should make it all go away. Personally, if somebody wronged me and they told me to just get over it, I might, hold on a little bit longer. Just saying, it kind of makes sense where she's coming from. So after this initial, let's call it miscommunication, his problem then quickly turns into the idea that she owns his complete docs and she is sending it to people in order to threaten him.
Meanwhile, she had my apology saved in a Google Drive. Also in this Google Drive that she created was my docs. I knew about this at the time. This is what I believed the expose was, and another reason that I stayed quiet. Around this time, I was being told that she was sending people to discredit me. She was deleting comments on her YouTube videos that was calling her out for some of the things that she was doing. Evidence suggesting that she was deleting more comments and sending people to dogpile on others.
Here's the problem. He doesn't actually provide any concrete smoking gun proof. He gives us screenshots of fans saying this to him, except we have no names, we have no context, we don't know who these people are, we have no idea if they're lying or trolling or even if it's photoshopped. The irony of this evidence is, of course, that later you yourself, Repzilla, show that your own subs were lying to you or misinforming you about the fake suicide story. So how are their DMs and words now all of a sudden valid now that we're talking about leave? Make it make sense, Rep, make it make sense. Now, I'm not saying that Repzilla is lying, I'm just saying it's not a convincing argument, and since slander and doxing is on the table, we're gonna need a fucking more so than I told you so, specifically since your reputation is not that very credible, my dude. I am so sorry, but this is unfortunately what is at stake. So you're gonna have to give us a little bit more than this. Like, essentially this is turning into a he said, she said. The only things that he does actually provide proof for is the fact that he did send her an Instagram apology and that he did post on her YouTube video, which we again have no context for. So he's accusing her of a bunch of things without any solid proof. I'm not saying again that he's lying. I'm just saying the point did not land. The proof was not there. I am sorry that this is not sufficient proof. This is very much T community level. And yeah, so essentially the point of this section, I would say, is that he wants to prove that Leafy Greens is in fact targeting him. He deserves an apology because, like, fucking duh. In this section, Repzilla decided to discuss primming, misinformation, and Katie Morton. Now, putting Katie Morton even as a title feature, even as a segment, doesn't make any fucking sense unless the whole goal is to discredit Primming's character. Because literally, what Primming did here is he said, instead of looking at this unqualified therapist, the Rewired Soul, look at a qualified therapist, Katie Morton.
In Primming's video, he tells his viewers that Katie Morton is a trustworthy alternative to the Rewired Soul.
If you guys are looking for a channel that is truly supportive and, in my eyes, a good example of a mental health channel, go check out Katie Morton. She is a certified therapist. That's right, certified.
You can see right here, this video was like 2 weeks ago. This is Katie Morton. Click into it, and in the description, she's still actively promoting BetterHelp. He would have known this if he just went to look.
And yes, Katie Morton also presented BetterHelp, which, yes, 100% call him out, he was hypocritical. That argument is used not in order to criticize Primming. That argument is used in order to discredit Primming's character so that it looks like he's no better than Repzilla or the Rewired Soul or anybody else in the story. Now that is a problem because what you're doing here is called a whataboutism, right? So what you're saying is that, well, there's no true heroes in the story. You're not defending your own position. You're not proving your own innocence. You're not even fighting any counter arguments levied at yourself. You're just trying to discredit the character of your critic.
At this point, I didn't think Primming was telling the truth. I was fully under the impression that Primming was making things up out of spite.
Which is... It's a very bad move. It's a very bad move. It doesn't prove anything in your favor. It looks like you look like a whiny little bitch. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. And this whole section is just filled with whiny little bitch moments. Now here's the thing. I get why Repzilla would be, let's call it, upset with Primming, because yes, Primming did deliver the best fucking hit piece. But Repzilla, you're still here uploading all the time, and Primming is MIA, so this seems like the kind of pity that a 30-year-old loser would still carry about their high school days. It comes off very strange, and Katie Morton has absolutely nothing to do with the situation, so I don't even know why she's in the title at all. It makes absolutely zero sense. I don't understand the point other than, discrediting Primming.
On March 17, 2019, he asked me if I had evidence of Marsii doxing me. As already seen in this video, I did. I told him I did. He asked me to show him proof of my dox, to which I told him I was uncomfortable doing, because he had already been leaking our private conversations on Twitter. He said he was trying to give me a chance to defend myself. I asked if it was for me to defend myself in his video, and he said yes, and that he was fair, and to send him proof. I asked him if he understood the danger that I was in, and I told him I wasn't at liberty to openly talk about it, and that it involved my friends and family. He did not reply to my attempts to clarify and send evidence about these situations, and published his video calling me YouTube's wolf in sheep's clothing.
Okay, now here is the real fucking piss of the matter. Here is my big problem. Repzilla essentially created a situation in which you cannot criticize him, because he says here that you can criticize him, but he cannot, and you cannot, i.e. Primming, cannot talk about this specific situation. So in other words, imagine if, with the YouTube dislike button, if YouTube said, okay, you're allowed to criticize us, we're a free platform, but you're not allowed to talk about the dislike button, because that context would put us in danger. Then you might ask, what kind of danger? Oh, I can't say, because saying it would put me in danger. So that's literally what Repzilla did here. We're not allowed to ask questions, we're not allowed to talk about it, because otherwise, danger, and you're putting him in danger. How dare you be selfish? But you're totally allowed to criticize him. Oh yeah. I don't know how you're gonna do it. I don't, but good luck. So literally every possible criticism that you can levy against Repzilla, he has built an actual fort around it. You are literally not allowed to criticize him without coming across as completely unethical and immoral, which is the ideal situation for, I guess, like a dictator of some kind, or a cult leader, you know?
On November 19, 2019, Leafy Greens made a video where she apologized to everyone involved but me. To my knowledge, I'm the only one that went to the extent that I did to apologize to her.
I definitely wanted to add the screenshot, but here we can see the exact opposite in reaction, because Permink is a twink and not a pussy. So it seems pretty obvious that the point of this entire section was to discredit the character of Permink and not his arguments, because none of his arguments were actually addressed. Instead, it was just said that if he was to address any arguments, then in fact he would be immoral, unethical, and put my life in danger, quote unquote. And the only kind of character assassination that Repzilla could throw back was fucking Katie Morton, who has nothing to do with the situation. And when Permink was called out for it, he took it back. He said, yes, I was wrong. Which, by the way, Repzilla, that's literally all we want when we call you out. We don't want the whole fucking context. We don't want to know how the wind was blowing that day or what your horoscope said. We literally just want you to say, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Okay? So yeah, this is a big fat F. This section did not fly.
She explained that the reason she did this was not for sinister reasons, that she has mild Asperger's, and that it really was for attention. This really upset people, and they were reaching out wanting me to cover it.
Okay, this segment is hilarious and embarrassing. Essentially, this 14-year-old child faked their suicide, and Repzilla did a whole ass fucking video on this thing. And then it turned out that this person was very much still alive and just trolling, and Repzilla's subscribers had trolled him because they told him it was a legitimate story he had to report on, and then they wanted him to report again on how she's now alive and it was just a big ass joke. And then apparently the family reached out to him and said, Rep, this shit's fucking embarrassing. Can you just like take it down? We don't want people to be able to Google our daughter is a degenerate or some shit like that. I don't know. So they got rid of it. And the problem with this story is that it actually isn't as serious as he's talking about it. He's addressing this like he got criticism and hate mail and people sent him death threats, something like that. It must have been. But if you look at the reality, his biggest evidence is literally this.
February 21, 2019, a YouTube account with 2 subscribers posted a 2-minute video. They said I was lying about alleged friends and family reaching out to me. As previously seen, this is not true. They say I deleted a comment that was allegedly from the family.
Yeah, so essentially Repzilla's subscribers fucking trolled him, or they're dumb. It has to be one of the two. And then he not only fell for it multiple times, but he kept looking up people trying to prove that it's a big deal. When I think this video in itself, the one that you showed, I think it's an actual troll as well, because they knew it would require almost nothing to get a reaction from you. And if I were you, I would maybe be more selective about who I allow in the DMs, if you get what I'm saying. So I guess the point of this was to somehow set a record straight, an argument to prove an argument that he's innocent, and I don't think anybody is on the opposite side except for those 2 people. I don't think anybody is on the opposite side of this argument, so that makes it quite hilarious. Yeah, Repzilla, tell them to troll harder. This is not it. During the height of criticisms that Repzilla received, there was a slew of arguments coming out and proof from an old Facebook account trying to establish a narrative that Repzilla is in fact racist. Now, I personally don't know Repzilla well enough to say whether he is or not. I personally don't think he is. I haven't seen significant evidence to suggest that he undeniably is a racist. But what I think he wanted to prove through this was the, I guess, obvious, by saying that he did not own the account that posted the racist tweets.
There were some racist and homophobic tweets that came from my Twitter account. These were not posted by me.
And I would say that definitely 100% this is not that big a deal. This is something that shouldn't have been a segment in this entire video. This is something that you have clarified before, and I don't think there was an active campaign trying to discredit you based on this. This segment could have been much better if it was attributed to an actual concern that people have, and if you don't know what they are, literally go check your comment section and stop deleting shit, and then you'll find it there. But what this segment does make very interesting, and a point that I want you to actually take from it, because you did yourself fucking see it, because you put it in the video, is this.
I made a video August 24th of 2018 explaining this, and the former admin executioner made a video he wanted me to share.
Just so we're all on the same page, Repzilla's logic here is that in order to prove that he himself is not racist, he got his racist friend to say that he's indeed not racist. Once again, Repzilla has been brought to his knees by a little bit of trolling.
Fast forward about 2 years ago, somebody has dug really deep on Twitter and found these comments that me and my buddies have made and are blaming Shane for it. I'm Executioner. That has been my gamer tag since 15 years ago or so. I'm the one who made all those comments. They have made a couple of videos just talking shit, slandering Shane, just trying to pick him apart. Just stop. Honestly, just stop. Shane's not like that, first off. He's a very nice guy if you do know him in person. Number two, that was definitely me. I'll take responsibility and I do apologize for it. Granted, that was 10 years ago. I've evolved since then. I've grown up a lot. I don't expect any forgiveness. I understand I'm just a random guy on the internet at the end of the day. Who gives a fuck what I think? I understand. Shane, I'm really sorry about everything. I'm sorry. I take responsibility, man.
This is how an apology would look. Now, I'm not saying that I forgive this human that I've never met. What I'm saying is this is the structure and format of an apology. Did he blame some former accident that he was in? Did he say he was in a bad mental health space? Did he say that he had good intentions? No, Repzilla, take fucking note. This is what it looks like. This is accountability. From this point onwards, every single segment he has already addressed, and they are almost nothing burgers at this point, but for some reason he made entire sections again. So that would be my biggest criticism of literally everything I'm about to discuss, is that all of the counter arguments that have been made against you, all of the criticisms that have been made against you, are still valid because you didn't do anything to disprove them. You didn't bring any new evidence. You have made the same claims and the same justifications that you did prior. So literally, there's nothing new that I can say. For the audience watching this right now, I'm not going to bore you to death by re-explaining the dramas that there have been made countless videos on, and they are all still valid because he doesn't take any of the actual criticisms. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fucking dumb this shit down so that Repzilla understands what he thinks is the criticism, i.e. what he responded to, versus what the actual criticism is, so that we're just very clear. So the first of those segments is Keemstar.
Keemstar tweeted about me yesterday, and the result was a lot of people sending me hate for something that they thought I said, which wasn't the case. I'm here to set the record straight. This is why you should read descriptions and watch videos before reacting.
Now, the absolute TLDR of the situation, I think we all remember the 20-year-old child that Keemstar was dating. Yeah, so Repzilla made a fucked up thumbnail calling Keemstar's girlfriend a child, and then made a video with that thumbnail where he says, don't think it's a child. Okay.
That same day I tweeted my video out clarifying the situation further. It was not about the hate, it was about being misrepresented.
So here's what happened, Repzilla. There was no big hate mob. There was no group of people that decided that you were so dumb you didn't know that it was not a child and they just didn't understand your big brain video. No. Here's what happened. People saw your thumbnail and they thought, this dude is a joke. They screenshotted that thumbnail, sent it to Keemstar, and spread it all over Twitter in order to get this laugh at you, because they don't take you seriously. They think about you as a T channel, and they thought, at that moment, this is exactly the kind of shit that a T channel will pull. And you will notice, Repzilla, many of your problems is due to your inability to understand that clickbait doesn't mean you get to just say anything. If your video content and your title and thumbnail are different from one another, then people are allowed to criticize that. That is the entire thing. Nobody thinks that you think a 20-year-old is a child. It's not that fucking deep. It's literally a bad thumbnail that doesn't correspond to the content that you're speaking of. And you did that because you wanted people to click on your video, garner outrage clicks. The pushback of that is being goofed on. Literally having a community laugh at you and saying, bro, this is not it. This is a bad look. And there are many people who've been goofed on and cancelled due to fucking stupid ass thumbnails. That's what happened here. It's not the whole ass fucking section where you go into detail about how you think a 20-year-old is a child and how dare people criticize you. They haven't clearly watched the video. No, they haven't. They don't care to watch the video. That's not the point. The point was a fucking stupid thumbnail and title. That's it. Learn to laugh at yourself. It'll be much easier. Let's start off with the good of this video. He does call this entire segment clarifying a mistake I made. And yes, because he did make a mistake and he's for some reason giving context to it instead of, remember when we just went over what an apology looks like? Yeah, that thing. This entire segment could have been, I was wrong, I fucked up, I take accountability, let's keep it moving. I'm sorry, Gabbie, I'm sorry people that I've offended and people that I affected. I promise to do better research and improve myself day by day. But instead of that, we are met with counter arguments that have nothing to do with the criticism being levied at you. The problem is, if you say that you are wrong and you made a mistake, but then you also continue to defend it, then it means that you do not actually truly believe that you're sorry. You're not actually apologizing.
Should stop, as she did the right thing.
Many people pointed out that this was just her playing the victim and that they didn't believe that this was a sincere apology at all. And to that, I have one thing to say. Barring the fact that people think that she's manipulative and that she's done so much wrong and all these other things, maybe she's not sincere. But the point that I see is that she did apologize. She reached out to the mother and she apologized. Whether it's an authentic apology, the video that offended so many people was taken down.
What do I mean by that? Okay, listen fucking closely. I am not screaming! Yeah, did you see that? Did you see how my words and actions contradicted? Yeah, so when words and actions contradict, actions are speaking the truth. If you are saying that I made a mistake and I'm sorry, and then you continue to defend yourself, justify it, and what you call clarifying it, then it means that you're not sorry. So yeah, that might be something that you want to take with you into the future. That is something that's reoccurring in all the criticisms about you. But what you were defending was the fact that you didn't quote unquote do research properly, that your intentions were good and you didn't understand the article. But the criticism that you actually received was that you referred to an article about e-boys and e-girls as a murder article.
None of these channels even show the article once for context, but they'll tell you all about it.
The whole article next to it was about that girl and how she was by someone that she met on Discord.
It's by Vox, it's titled E-Girls and E-Boys Explained, talks about what they are, shows some pictures, and then shows Bianca Devins with a short paragraph talking about her death. It genuinely makes sense how Gabbie could miss this one paragraph. It's not the murder article that the T channels are claiming it is.
This was a lack of research on my part. I got caught up in the narratives of other videos, then perpetuated how those videos influenced me.
As a murder article. So you were playing into the current hatred that the internet was sending towards Gabbiana and Bianca's family, which is obviously not okay. That is an actual real life implication for your own action, which you should straight up apologize for only, right? Not clarify, not contextualize. That is a problem. Just say sorry and that's it. And then after that, you got criticized for saying that everybody in this situation was wrong. Both sides were wrong, which is also not true. You were factually incorrect. You did not do your research properly and essentially slandered somebody and caused harm. And then finally, when you were confronted with these criticisms, you blamed your traumatic brain injury, which is also just another level fucked up. It's another shield, similar to what we discussed earlier with Priming, when you essentially described how you cannot discuss any possible defense because otherwise you would be putting yourself in danger. Yeah, this is the same thing. It's literally a deflection, it's an armor, it's a shield. You are not allowing yourself to be criticized, so therefore you essentially cannot take any blame for anything. And if you truly believe that you cannot be held responsible or accountable for any single thing that you do, then I will say that maybe it's a good time to consider not doing the things that you do, if that really is your truth. So, my problem with the Gabbiana section is not that he didn't say that he made a mistake. He did. He didn't clarify what that mistake was, and then he went on to defend arguments that were not made. So instead of taking ownership over calling it a murder article and claiming that both sides were equally wrong and bringing up his TBI, he instead defended that his intentions were indeed actually good, and it's on us that we just didn't understand his intentions and that we assumed the worst.
My intentions were good and my anger towards Gabbie was real, but my understanding of the situations was incorrect, and my own fault for not looking at both sides when it comes to Gabbie based on my own lack of trust in her. As a result, I caused harm.
But this section probably is one of the best sections, so I'll just put it out there as well.
I had been covering situations with James Charles where he admitted to having inappropriate conversations with underage boys.
In contrast, the James Charles section was pretty fucking terrible, my dude. So the context here is that Repzilla made this fucking thumbnail, And in the context of his previously have exposed James Charles for being inappropriate with minors, plus this thumbnail, now he's shocked and saying, how dare we assume that he assumed that it was predatory in nature.
About to get glam featuring Real Purple playing Bed Wars to keep me entertained. Bed Wars, which, obviously this was not his intention to feed into these type of alleged things, but given the context, that's exactly what it did. And you would think that somebody who thinks things through would have noticed this, but that's not what happened in this situation.
Of course, if you are constantly talking about him being a predator and inappropriate with children, and then you post a fucking thumbnail like this, literally any single person who has pattern recognition will conclude that James Charles is a predator. Being called out for misleading your audience to this severe extent is not on the audience. It's not our bad research. You know exactly what you did. You made another clickbait title. You wanted the outrage clicks, and that's what you got. But you also got the outrage because those of us who stuck around long enough to see it knew that you did this dude dirty, and essentially you made every other future actual credible piece of evidence against him less likely to be believed or clicked on, especially when it's coming from your channel. That's what you're being criticized for, not for actually having called him a predator, but for this shenanigans, this clown fuckery that you're putting on. So yes, the point was to say that you are in fact innocent of accusing James Charles of something serious, but you are not innocent of insinuating the absolute worst and again muddying the water of what could potentially be a serious situation. We don't know, but we can't trust you to tell us.
August 3rd, 2021, I made a video looking into the situations involving Eugenia and the origins of the accusations around her being pro-Anna.
Another time, Repzilla is misrepresenting what actually fucking happened on our screen on this day. So what he did was he made this whole as, yes, here's the thumbnail, here's the thumbnail. Now you tell me how any sober person would think that this video has any single thing to do with Eugenia Cooney. I'll wait. Yeah, very difficult. Okay. So in his own evidence, he's trying to prove that just because he made the claim that he doesn't think that Eugenia Cooney is necessarily using the blue butterfly to be pro-Anna. Can you please explain this, sir?
I made sure to say multiple times there is no evidence that Eugenia is using the blue butterfly in correlation to pro-Anna.
Can you tell me what I'm looking at? What is this? What is going on here? How am I supposed to divorce Eugenia Cooney from the blue butterfly? Can you please tell me? With this thumbnail. And then also, this you?
We're going to be talking about a blue butterfly and what it means in relation to Eugenia. I made sure to say multiple times there is no evidence that Eugenia is using the blue butterfly in correlation to pro-Anna.
Please repeat.
In relation to Eugenia.
Okay, so tell me exactly how this video is not directly correlating Eugenia to this movement. Please tell me how anybody who made the connection is reaching. Can you clarify? Okay, so obviously his point in this section was to clarify, like with James Charles, that he didn't in so many words accuse the person of anything, but this is literally the equivalent to when YouTubers use the word allegedly and then followed up with, this is all true and I have all the receipts, but for legal reasons I have to say allegedly. That's what he's doing right here. He's saying, I'm not saying that she is a predator, I'm not saying she is doing this, I'm not saying she is responsible for the pro-Anna movement, but yeah, here's literally all the reasons why she most likely fucking is and why I think she is and why you should probably also think she is. That's the criticism, Repzilla. You know what you did. This is what happens when you clickbait too much. You have to take responsibility for the shit that you did and the fact that people are goofing on you. Every one of these past few sections that I've covered have all been already out there. You've already been criticized for it, and the fact that you still cannot see what you're doing tells me that you are either willfully being ignorant, which is obviously the malicious worst case scenario here, or alternatively, you are sincerely, wholeheartedly fucking stupid. In which case, I hope that you listened to every single thing that I said, because that is the problem that everybody is having. This is not even a controversial hot take. Literally everybody is bringing up these points. So my final conclusions would have to be the following. So it actually seems like he wanted to make the stalker video since he had the most evidence for it, but then added the rest of this garbage so that in the future if people ask him, he can just say that he addressed it in this video. even though he was in fact responding to points nobody was making while saying that his intentions are good, so basically he's above criticism. Or maybe he just thought that if the video was long enough, nobody would stop to actually read the screenshots. Who knows? I think what the whole point of this entire video is, after we have journeyed through these different sections, I think it's pretty clear that Repzilla just wants everybody to apologize to him.
Apologize to apology I posted. I apologize for any. Apologize for Siddi.
Did apologize. She apologized. Whether apology,
She apologized for He apologized on Twitter.
Something else that I noticed every single time that Repzilla acknowledges that he definitely made a mistake.
I don't like the way the situation was portrayed in your book, but I understand that is how you felt. I just wanted to clarify I pulled my support because you joked about making money off of people. This video was not monetized and it was very difficult for me to make and sent to me. It says that I made money off said video, but as previously seen, the video was not monetized.
Yes, Rep, when your version of an apology is money-based, then it absolutely seems insincere, and that Rewire Soul criticism seems very hypocritical at this moment, if it ever even was true. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can't pay away the criticism. Now look, what I will say is that I don't want anybody to unsub from him or bully him off the interwebs or any of those things. I think he should be allowed to be silly on the internet, and if you enjoy him, if you like him, if you want to watch him, go fucking ahead. It's the internet, it's for entertainment purposes only, of course. And then finally, Repzilla, if you want to know what the audience is really thinking and really criticizing you about, then it might be in your best interest to not put as many filters in your comment section and or delete comments. But other than that, I'm just a thought with an opinion and I don't know shit about fuck. Peace.